What would you do if you found out the house you just purchased was a previous murder scene? Welcome to True Real Estate Horror Stories, Part 4 with Chris Bishop.
I don't know how much time you have left, but it just made me think of something.
You got another one? You have probably 10 more, but...
This is freaky. This freaked me out. So had an agent came in and said, I've got a broker question. Do you have a second? And I said, sure, absolutely. And so she had said, well, I've run into something I've never seen. And she goes, we were at the property doing the walkthrough, and my clients are super excited. I mean, this house has been completely remodeled. It's gorgeous inside. And she said the neighbor came over to meet the new owners, and they were excited to meet them. And the neighbor, she goes, we're standing there out in front of the house, and the neighbor straight up says, I'm just so excited someone finally bought this house after the murder-suicide. And she goes, all of the blood drained from everyone's face, and my clients were just freaked out. They're like, what are you talking about? And the neighbor starts to tell a story of how, unfortunately, there was a horrible incident in this home, and everyone died. Mm-hmm. And someone came in and bought it and remodeled it and put in fresh everything and new everything. And so my agent was freaked out, like, what do I do? And I'm like, what did your client say? And she goes, my clients are freaked out. Like, they have very strong feelings about what could be or stigmatized to the house or the whole thing. Right. And I said, well, first off, the disclosure in the state says I don't have to disclose unless the house kills them.
I was just about to say, unless it was the house that killed them, yeah.
But there is a context under reasonable skill and care that says that you should know what everyone else knows. And I said, if we Google that property address, the question is what would come up? And so, ironically, when you Google the property address, all of these news stories start popping up on the property.
That's interesting.
But it's something I never would have thought of. I don't Google every address I ever sell.
Every address. No.
But I remember back to when I first got started in real estate of one of my mentors saying, it's interesting, your job was to sell your clients a home and protect them and then sell other homes in the neighborhood. And so if you were going to do that, you'd probably go around to the other neighbors that live there and knock on the door and ask questions and the whole thing. And so moving forward to the story, the clients were fine. They were excited about buying the house. They did get a great deal. They
still bought it.
Let it go and the agent, but it was a kind of a resounding lesson of maybe I will do a little bit of research, not enough to create liability or cause me a problem, but maybe I'll check around and be a better salesperson.
Quick Google.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Now, if the buyer was not happy and they wanted to, do you think anything would have come from it?
I don't. Unfortunately, in that instance, I'm not an attorney or a judge, but in the cases that I've sat on, at the association, that buyer entered into a contract to buy the home. They went through the due diligence period, and again, under the state provisions of the law, they didn't have to disclose any of that because it wasn't, the house didn't do it, and so, who knows that the agent who did the remodel even knew. Right. A lot of times clients bought it and flipped it. So it was just one of those things where sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Right? Yep. All right, last question. If you had a book that you would recommend to new agents or to agents in general that'll help them in their career, what would it be?
So I actually, with my coaching group, just went through 7 Habits.
Oh, okay.
And
I took the course.
Yeah, I did as well. And, I went into it thinking, come on. Yeah. Listen, I'm not one of those guys that wants to go down to the beach and beat the hell out of each other and go through a life change thing, about rebuilding everything and the whole thing. But I think some do.
Yeah.
And for me, I wasn't really excited about going to a class. And I came out of it feeling renewed. Like, oh my God, I forgot. Oh my God, that's a great idea. Oh, I should be doing that. And I got so much
out of it. The Big Rocks for me.
Oh, huge.
The Big Rocks is the number one thing I took from that entire course. I still use the every Sunday where you put your Big Rocks in and you put them into your schedule.
Yep.
I think it's something that helps you stay focused and balanced as you go through this industry because...
The win-win.
The win-win.
I mean, being able to, and I think that's the whole point of the REO story is that if you look for those win-wins in each other and the people that you work with, it's amazing how business just unfolds. Yeah.
Well, I love it.
That's a great book, for sure.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Go.